Good afternoon. Thank you for joining today's webinar session on how to manage quality management operations and waste management operations digitally with the help of QDMS and Acumatica ERP system. My name is Kevin Devecioglu, and I'm the Managing Director of Bimser International. Before we go into the details of our webinar session today, I'd like to remind you our YouTube channel. As we record our webinar sessions on weekly basis, we make them available on our YouTube channel. You can visit our YouTube channel and you can see our webinars, you can watch them, and you can also share our webinar recordings with your team members. We are encouraging you to visit our YouTube channel at your convenience. Also, we have an Eventbrite page where you can see our coming webinar sessions. We'll be talking more and more about quality management systems and how to comply digitally with the help of QDMS, interacting with Acumatica ERP system. Today, I have my colleagues with me. I have Alex Kvartirov from Emraz Consulting. He will be addressing fundamentals of ISO quality management standard. And also with me, I have Selmat, our quality management system demonstration. Will be done by Sam. Sam is our pre-sales software engineer. And we have Furkan Bas, our QDMS product manager. Together, we'll be addressing how you can manage your quality management system digitally and how to manage waste management operations digitally with the help of QDMS and Acumatica in a paperless work environment. First of all, I'd like to talk about our company and introduce you briefly about who we are and what we do. As Bimser International, we are based in New York, and we are an enterprise software maker since 1998. In essence, we have companies digitize their business processes, and we have companies adopt digital transformation. We are pretty active in various business communities in the US. One of them is American Society for Quality, ASQ, because quality management is one of our expertise, and we are very active in quality management communities to stay updated. Also, we have an internship program called University of Bimser International. We basically teach university students how to do pre-sales and software engineering. As Bimser International, we have a global presence. We are based in New York. Also, we are active in Europe, as you see on the map. So we are a group of companies. In total, we are about 200 people. We are a growing organization. European Bank for Reconstruction and Development is one of our investors. We are active in various ERP ecosystems, as you see on the screen. And we are Acumatica ISV as well. Speaking of quality management today, we are also certified. We have ISO 9001 certification and ISO 27001 certification. With ISO 9001, we have policies, procedures, and systems in place to make sure we always deliver the highest quality of projects and products available in our disposal. We are very active in Acumatica ecosystem. We have been sponsoring various Acumatica events. We've been participating Acumatica summits in various parts of the world, and we are very happy with this partnership, and we are looking forward to extend it further. In Acumatica ecosystem, we have 3 products certified. We have QDMS. We'll talk more about QDMS today for quality management. We have BIM as an asset and maintenance management that also covers facility, fleet management, as well as energy management. And finally, we have EBA, our electronic business automation platform. We have a contract manager solution available for Acumatica that's also certified. And right now, our products, including QDMS, they are working in the same screens of Acumatica, and we'll demonstrate it to you today. And you can see how these 2 systems are working in the same screen seamlessly. Moving on, as I mentioned, we have 4 products that we focus since 1998. In addition to EBA, QDMS, and BIM, certified SAP, as well as Acumatica solutions, we also have Ensemble as our business process modeling, performance management, and balanced scorecard solution. When we look at what we have done so far since 1998, as for QDMS, when you focus, for example, on the third pie chart, we have delivered more than 1,000 projects for quality management. That includes many types of quality systems. ISO is one of them, SQL, PRC, AS9100. So we have experience in many different quality management systems digitally and in many different industries. QDMS has more than 1,000 corporate customers and more than 1 million users available, and these numbers are basically increasing every single month. We have a lot of references. Also, some of them are actually enterprise customers that we have. They're reputable brands. So in mid-market, basically, we started to focus on in recent years. If you are a growing organization, if you have multiple locations, our systems basically are scalable. Just like these very well-known brands are using our systems, also we make our systems available, our products for mid-market as well. So if you're a growing company, if you have multiple locations, and if you need scale in coming months and years based on your projection, our products will be a great choice for you. Now, I'd like to invite Alex Kvartirov to our virtual stage, and Alex will be addressing fundamentals of ISO quality management standard on a high level, and then we'll jump to digital transformation of quality management, and we'll demonstrate QDMS and Acumatica for you. Alex, ready?
Yes. Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining the webinar. And Kevin, thank you for inviting me to make a very brief presentation on the fundamentals of ISO quality management standards. So first, I just wanted to define what ISO stands for. And in fact, what ISO is an abbreviation for the International Organization for Standardization. This is a worldwide organization headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland, and currently has 164 member nations. And it's been around for quite a while, for over 60 years. So what it does, it promotes worldwide standards for quality management. And it applies for basically any type of industry, whether you're in construction, medical, environmental, IT, aerospace, or automotive. ISO will provide standards for quality management. So very briefly about myself, Amherst Consulting. I'm the principal of Amherst Consulting, and I had a long career in an aerospace company, which was certified to the AS9100 standard. And right now, I provide services to companies that are either willing to apply for ISO certification or to maintain certification. And about almost now two years ago, I came in contact with Bimser International, and I really became very excited about the tools that they have to support the management and dealing in general with all the data associated with ISO. So that's basically a very brief introduction about myself. So if you look at what are the ISO quality management principles? Now, ISO 9001 is basically kind of the parent standard for quality management, but this discussion really applies to all of the different ISOs, and there's many, like maybe like 24 of different standards, focusing on various types of industries. So the principle, there are really 7 principles of quality management. It's customer focus. You have to satisfy the customer, and you have to do everything to provide a quality product on time. And generally, you have to listen to the customer and address any issues that he has. Leadership, obviously, without management getting involved and participating in the ISO implementation of standards, it's not going to really work out. So leadership is the key to make everything happen. The people, all the people have to be engaged. They have to understand what ISO is all about throughout the whole structure of the organization. Also, ISO is based on processes, and those are functional groups within your work structure that make the process flow from one process to another. So, in effect, that makes the whole development of your product or your service more efficient. You are always focusing on improvement, continuous improvement. You're never perfect. And ISO really is there to help you uh, do improvement in systemic way that will benefit both your organization and the customer. Also, the decisions that you make when you do improvements should be based on evidence, on data that you've collected as part of your ISO process, and not just taking wild guesses. And finally, relationship management. That means that you have to address not only with the internal functions of your organization, but also addressing all the external forces, namely the regulatory, customer, um, the investors. So it requires management to understand the whole aspect of the business. So the quality management system, ISO, is based on the Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle, which was developed by by Deming, who is the quality guru. And in effect, what it is, it's a continuous loop where you're in that loop, I guess, forever. Okay, because that really forces you to do continuous improvement. On the right hand side of the screen is the ISO structure. In other words, these are the clauses that govern the ISO standards. The first three are basically introduction, definition, and so on. But the meat of it starts with 4, and it goes from 4 through 10. And those numbers, the clause numbers, are reflected on the diagram in the small number in the parentheses. So what it is, in effect, is your input on the left-hand side are basically your customer requirements, what the customer is looking for, and also your what they call the context of your organization, what your organization consists of, and the needs and expectation of the interested parties. So you take all of that as an input, and then you go through your planning stage, which is number 6, and then from that, uh, your plan then develops your support and operations. So, which is clause 7 and 8. Support meaning, can you go back the slide? Yes, thank you. Support mean all your resources, so it's manpower, equipment, and so on. And the operation is the actual either manufacturing process or your service process. Then you do, for number 9, you evaluate what you created, both internally and also getting feedback from the customer. And then you do a check, and you go through the improvement stage, where you look at, well, how can I improve it based on the data? And then you just continuously stay in that loop. And if you look at leadership, is in the middle of it, so it controls everything. So, all right, next slide, please. So, what is really, why is ISO, or not only 9001, but any ISO, good for your organization? Well, we already talked about it. Obviously, makes the customer happy. It increases your revenue and profitability. Now, even though ISO is not involved in managing your finances, it's still a happy customer, and greater amount of sales will definitely improve your profitability. Your whole image and credibility improves, because now if you achieve ISO certification, that means you have adopted a quality standard. And actually, many customers require you to be ISO certified, because one of the requirements is that the supply chain be evaluated. And as part of the supply chain, if you're not ISO certified, then it creates a problem for the organization that's purchasing your product. So it makes it a lot easier if you have been certified. As we talked before, it improves your decision-making process, and you're always in a continual improvement culture. As a result, it improves your efficiency. You have a better process integration because you're now running more efficiently, and your whole workforce is engaged. And a lot of the good recommendations for improvements come from bottom up. So because the people involved in the work, they are in a better position to provide a good recommendation on making the process more efficient. So that is, I know, a very, very brief introduction to ISO. And I'll pass that on now back to Kevin. And thank you for your attention.
Alex, thank you very much. Much appreciated. Great insights and very refreshing as always. Thank you so much. Learning these fundamentals of quality management in the scope of ISO is always helpful. Eventually, ISO is the holy grail of all the quality management systems. So it's definitely good for us to keep it in mind. Having this foundational information, I'd like to just talk briefly about digital transformation of quality management, and I will demonstrate how actually you can make it happen. So there are different quality management systems in the marketplace. Just like Alex mentioned earlier, there are different types of ISO standards, also different standards based on your industry. I just put a list of them, some of them. You may be in aviation industry, maybe automotive industry or construction industry and healthcare industry perhaps. So there are different expectations as to quality management systems and compliance. So the objective is basically to make sure you have a safe work environment, you are making safe products, you're increasing customer satisfaction, and also you have continuous improvement in place. That's basically the objectives of all these quality management systems in essence. And typically they have requirements, documentation, you need to document your activities, you need to have control points, you need to have feedback, you need to study it. So you need to go further and forward, basically. That is the expectation, and you need to document and prove it. That's also very important. And that's not easy. Based on what we have been seeing from our customers and from our engagement with companies, they are having challenges as to comply with quality management systems. Typically, they have too much paperwork, for example. They have hard time managing the paperwork. They have hard time managing, for example, corrective actions. And also they have hard time managing sometimes standards as a whole. These are typical challenges that we hear from companies, is to comply with these standards. And that's why we put together these quality management-based digital transformation framework. It's basically based on three parts: assurance, control, and predict. With assurance, it simply refers to your quality management system in place. Could be ISO, could be another system that you have. In this case, maybe ISO or another standard. You need to have control points as to the second point, and you need to have controls maybe during manufacturing, maybe during your administrative operations, and to make sure that you're actually following your assurance, your quality management system in place. And the third is predict. Predictive is to utilize smart sensors and IoT devices to remotely monitor your machinery, equipment, your work environment, your manufacturing environment. So we believe utilizing these 3 points, 3 parts, helps companies adopt digital transformation for quality management. That is why actually we design our quality management system called QDMS to help companies adopt digital transformation. So having said that, I'd like to talk a little bit about QDMS before we jump to demo environment. QDMS, right now we have more than 1,000 corporate customers, more than 1 million professional users. That's why we basically introduce ourselves as experts in quality management digitally. It is also a certified Acumatica solution available in Acumatica marketplace. It has a very modern technology. It is ready to communicate any other systems. It's already integrated with Acumatica ERP system. In addition, QDMS is ready to communicate with IoT devices, smart sensors, manufacturing execution systems, CRM systems that you may have. So the idea is to have companies have integrated business management environment, and QDMS has these modern technology available in place to make this happen. With the help of QDMS, companies can comply with many different standards. Could be ISO, could be SQF in food industry, BRC in food industry. You may be in healthcare, maybe automotive industry. You can comply with many different standards digitally. It's a web-based technology. It works on cloud as well as on-premise servers. In that sense, the technology is very similar to Acumatica. That's why these two systems actually go along very well. It's also very user-friendly. Once we train the quality management team, quality management team typically manages the system. There is no other outside consultants or IT support needed to run the system. QDMS has a modular structure, so it depends on what standards you are complying with, either ISO, either SQF, BRC, or any other, for example. You can pick and choose what you like. As I mentioned earlier, typically quality management systems, they have documentation requirements. They have corrective action requirements for continuous improvement. They have customer complaint management or feedback management requirements. So all these requirements and more are actually addressed in QDMS, as you see on the screen. There are many different modules available. I just put together some of them. We have more than 30 modules, I will say. And there is no minimum, and companies can choose any module they like. They can also add later on if they like, so that's perfectly fine. Typically, we see control document management, customer complaint management, corrective action management, and audit management happens to be very common choices. But it really depends on the customer and quality management teams eventually. Okay, great. So we talk about also digital transformation of quality management on a high level. We talk about our proactive quality management framework and QDMS, our quality risk audit and compliance management system. Now we like to show you how you can actually manage your quality management system as well as your waste management operations as part of our title of our AcuQuality webinar session today. So in the demonstration, we will be talking about quality document management operations, how you can manage your policies, procedures, SOPs, SSOPs perhaps. Waste management, we'll talk about corrective action management for continuous improvement. And as part of corrective action management, there is an action called root cause analysis. There are different types of tools that you can use and quality management teams are using in the marketplace for root cause analysis. Today we'll be talking about 8D approach, how you can manage your root cause analysis, how you can actually execute it by using these 8D approach. That's something also available on ASQ's website if you are interested in learning more. And then also we'll be, of course, addressing your questions after demonstration. So for demonstration, I'd like to invite our pre-sales software engineer, Sam, to our virtual stage. And Sam will be showing us how QDMS actually interacting with Acumatica, how you can manage your documents, control documents for quality management purposes, waste management, and corrective action. Sam, you're ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, please take over the screen when you're ready.
Sure. Okay. And can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, very nice. And let's get started. Thank you for joining today's webinar. So this is Sam at Bimser International. So that today I will show you QDMS, which is our quality, risk, audit, and compliance management system working on Acumatica's page. And we integrate QDMS with Acumatica, not with the employee information, stock item, customer, vendor information. Also, QDMS can work on the Acumatica's page, which means you can manage QDMS and Acumatica on the same screen and in the same tab of your web browser. You don't have to switch between your tabs. So now this is the home screen of QDMS. QDMS is a permission-based system, so not everyone can see everything in the system, for example, like the modules. Your permission will be based on your role, position, profession, department, and groups. And since now I'm logging in as the administrator, so I have the full control of the system. And on this homepage, I can find all the pending tasks and also the request for approval right after I log in to QDMS. And I can have a quick connection and start proceeding with those requests. For example, the document that I have saved and it is in progress of uploading or revision, so that I can get a quick connection right on my home screen. And all this notification that you can see on this home screen, you will also receive a notification in your email inbox as well. So that it makes sure you will not miss any important tasks in QDMS in terms of complying with different standards or regulations. And this is the main menu of QDMS, as Kevin mentioned in his presentation. QDMS has a modular structure, which means you can pick and choose which module that you want to have on your server. Again, since I'm now logging in as the administrator, so that I have the full control also in this main menu as well. And first of all, I want to show you is the control document management module. In this module, you can upload your document, for example, your SOPs, procedures, specifications, standards, or training materials. In addition, you can start your revision process in order to keep all your documents that you upload in the system are up to date. Besides, you can also manage your folder structure so that you can manage your folder department by department or locations by location as well. In terms of reading your document, you don't need any other software or applications. And QDMS has its own document viewer so that you can open your document and show the content of the documents right in the built-in browser of QDMS. And QDMS supports different file formats like PDF, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Notepad, video, audio, and image. So all the information will be shown in this built-in browser, and you can review the document information. For example, like the version number, the department, the creation dates, and so on. With the permission, you can get back to the previous version of your document. And as I mentioned about the permissions, you can also see the permission that are granted to different users or user groups. For example, like reading, printing, revising, getting back to the previous version, or deleting the document. In this distribution list, you can see which users or groups have the obligation to read these documents once it is updated or uploaded in the system. And you can see who are the approvers for revising or uploading this document. And all the action that the users carry out in the system will be recorded in an archive of QDMS, so that you can see under this history page regarding this document, you can see who did what on what day, and those will be shown in a list. And it is the audit trail that you keep tracking the actions that the users carry out in the system. And in every modules of QDMS, you can use the reporting tool and generate the ready-made report. For example, I can create a document status report. And before you generating your report, you can put some condition to it. For example, I want to see how many documents are under the revision process, and then start my searching. After that, the system will show you all the documents it is under revision process. Furthermore, you are more than welcome to use the search features that is provided in the system. For example, I want to see how many documents it is waiting for my response in order to complete the revision process, so that we can have a list that you can see on the screen, and also export this list into Excel or PDF for sharing with any responsible parties. And in QDMS, in order to help you to comply with the standards and having the continuous improvement for your company, you can see the waste management module here. And in this module, you can find the waste hazardous waste form, which we can always update the field's name and also the design for you. But the idea of this module is help you to record all the process that you're handling the waste in your company. And in this module, you can see we have different status, for example, like complete. And let me pull up a blank record so that you can see if they're at the manufacturer side, or is at the carrier side, or the receiver, or it is complete, so that we can enter the serial number for handling this particular waste on particular day. And we can pick and choose the manufacturer, and pick and choose the hazard code, and also the waste definition. And at this point, please allow me to pull up one of the existing records that we have in the system, so that you can see we have a record for which is incomplete status, and the hazard code, which is H1, and also the waste definition. Also, you can record the physical properties of this waste, like it is liquid, solid, or any kind of form it is physically existing in or produced or by the manufacturer. And also you can record the color, the weight, and also the package, how to pack your waste. Is this in a barrel or in a container, and so on. After that, you can also record the transportation company, considering like we are handling the hazardous waste, and it can only be transported by certified transportation company. You can also record their information here, like their license, the vehicle plate number, and the title, also the shipping cost. Later on, when the transportation is finished and it's sent to the receiver company, which means who is going to handle the waste, then we can record the receiver information here with the license number, also the wage, and how they are going to do with the waste. Like they will dispose of it, or they will purify it and before the disposal, or we are going to reuse the waste, so that we can have all the information to be recorded in QDMS. And also, you're more than welcome to pull this up as an PDF, so that you can have your reporting tool and share this with any responsible parties for handling or for the process that you're handling the waste in your company. And in QDMS, it's also helped you to manage your non-conformity and root cause analyze, and also the corrective actions. You can use the corrective action module, as known as CAPA module, and you can see all the corrective action that you record in QDMS. And you can see they're in different status, like open, planned, result, and so on. It depends on the progress that you're handling this non-conformity that you record in the system. And let me pull up one of the records that we have here. So in this corrective action module, you can pick and choose the department or the customer name, which this customer name is coming from Acumatica. As I mentioned in the beginning, we integrate QDMS with Acumatica, for example, like the employee name or the customer information, and also the product information. After that, we can enter the non-conformity and also the description of the non-conformity in this module. After that, we can define the solution team in order to take care of this non-conformity, which is, and this team has to file the first progress report and do the root cause analysis. And in this record, you can see we find out 3 different root cause. First of all, is lack of the training procedures and lack of QC after production, and also lack of the resource request procedure. So in order to cope with these root causes, then we have to assign certain corrective action or preventive action. And in order to complete this corrective action, we have to assign an action performer, which is here, in order to perform the action that we assigned it. And what are the actions in this record is we have to prepare the new policy, new training, and new procedure. So we have to put together the training policy and procedure. And after that, the action performer has to update the system with what they have done. So considering like the action is performed and we want to open up a follow-up before we close the case. For example, we want to make sure this non-conformity will not happen again within 3 months, so that we can open a follow-up action. And if everything is going well and it's not happen again for the last 3 months, then we can close the corrective action. This is the whole process for handling one record in QDMS, and you can see QDMS helped you to manage all the detail for dealing with the non-conformity, root cause, and also the corrective action. And this report is also a very good tool when the auditor of your standard that you are complying with, for example, ISO auditor. The auditor come to your place and ask you, show me how to handle non-conformity or corrective actions in your company, so that you can pull up this report and show it to the auditor right away. And it will save you the time for, first of all, storing all the information that you for the corrective action, considering like you do it on paper. So you need, first of all, the storage, like and by using QDMS, it's helped you to save the storage cost. And also, it's make the auditor jobs easier, because you can show it right away, and he or she doesn't have to wait maybe for 3 hours for you to finding this particular record. And in this corrective action module, you can also find the reporting tool here, which allows you to generate the ready-made report. And also you can draw your graphical reports here. And for generating the graphical report, you can put the condition on your left. For example, you want to see which department felt handling the most non-conformity. And then you can draw your graph, and all the data will be shown in a bar chart and also in a table. And you can export this report into Excel, PDF, or image for sharing with any responsible parties as well. And as there are many different ways for you to analyze the root cause. So in the QDMS extension, we also digitized the root cause analysis method. And today I will show you the 8D model, which helps you to do your root cause analysis. And in the application, you can see we have digitized a form which help you to do the corrective action 8D model, so that the users has to follow the steps that we put together on this form. For example, like the 8D model form that we put together here. Excuse me, and let me put this one here. Okay, and this is the one that we put together on QDMS extension. So you can pick and choose the customer name, which they're coming from Acumatica, so that we can choose from a list, and you will see we can fill in the form and identify the problem. And as the model, you have to follow the step that we put together on the form, which means unless you finish the previous step, you're not allowed to enter anything for the following steps. And we put together a workflow behind this 8D model so that you have to follow step by steps. And now we can come to describe the problem. So after we send this out, and you will see we come to the next step, which allows you to establish to the team, so that we can pick and choose the team member information or the employee information coming from Acumatica. So let's say we have Ashley, and then we OK. So this is the next step for assigning to a team. So in 8D model, then we have to describe the problem. So we will pick and choose. And again, we cannot enter anything for the next step because we have to finish our current step and following the whole flow in order to complete this 8D model. And then we can enter the symptom and also the name who completed this form, and to the next step. After that, we have to do the root cause and so on, step by step here on this 8D model. And those information will be sent to QDMS and generate an associate record in corrective action module. So right here, you can see the root causes, and we can come back to QDMS, and then we go to the corrective action module. And right here, you will see we have an open record with all the information that I have just entered. So let me zoom in, like the non-conformity, which is the problem that we enter, and also describe the problem that will be the non-conformity. And also we have the root cause right here, and recorded based on the form that we filled in the 8D model. And in order to show you the flow in QDMS, then I will create a new record here. As I mentioned, in the beginning, while we come to this module, I showed you the report and also how we can manage it in the flow of QDMS, so that we can enter the corrective action source and also pick and choose the department, which is the information coming from Acumatica. And then we can pick and choose the location and also the non-conformity and also the description. And then we can pick and choose the category. So after that, we can assign this to a solution team. Do you remember when I talked about when I was talking about the report, we have to assign this to the solution team. And then I will pick myself as the solution team member, and we can attach any attachment here in order to provide any evidence or a reference document right here. For example, like the picture, so that you can attach right here and save it. And this record will be sent to the solution team leader. And you will see right here, there's a message on QDMS saying there is a new record is created. And then as I am the solution team leader, so that I can find my corrective action record or notification right on the home screen, which is this one, 194, which is the one we just created. Then I can come here and file my first progress report. Because this is my task as a solution team, then I have to do the first progress report and then having the root cause analyzed. So we can take the information as I have showed you in the QDMS extension, but we can also pick and choose or having our root cause analyzed here. For example, like this is an employee root cause. And then we will enter the description here like human error. Then we can save it. And after that, we have this root cause, and we can assign a team to take care of this root cause. So while I was talking about the report, but here showed you the flow live. Then we have to define the action performer and what kind of action that we have to take. And then set up a due date for these users. And in QDMS, we have the escalation features and also the delegation features in the system. So if you didn't finish the task within the date that we set up in QDMS, then it will be escalated. If you cannot complete it, for example, you are going to have a vacation, then we can delegate my task to other users in QDMS. So now I am saving an action and it is assigned it to the action performer, which is also myself, since I want to show you the whole flow without switching between different user accounts. But now I have to come here and perform the action that is assigned to myself or to me. Then, considering I perform the action, then I have to update the status and attach any document, for example, the policy from my local drive. So considering like we have an updated policy, then we can update right here, for example, training policy. Then it will be shown in on this page. Then we can save this, and it will be sent back to the team leader in order to for the approval. So that we can come here, and on my home screen, I can find and corrective action. It is going to be closed and follow and approval. So this is the one we just created, 196. Then I can come here and see if there's any follow-up action is needed. If there's any follow-up action, then we can open a follow-up and also pick and choose the action performer for this follow-up action. Like we want to send this to, for example, to Eva, which is the manufacturing assistant, and set up a due date for her, and also what she has to make sure in this follow-up action. Or we can come back and close this particular record accordingly, so that we have to enter the description and also the note, and also like the cost it is it's gonna cost us for the whole corrective action. For example, $1,000. Then we can save this, and this record will be closed accordingly in QDMS. And it's come to the end of my demonstration. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam, for the demonstration. Much appreciated. As you see, there are different ways of handling corrective action. And as we talk to different quality management teams, we are also learning their approach. There is no standard approach, there are different options. And we configure QDMS accordingly. Not every single company uses a team approach for root cause analysis, but that's one of the options. Some of the companies use 5 whys. Some of them, they use fishbone technique. And there are other ways of thinking on a problem and finding root causes, basically. And what we do is we digitize those processes so quality management teams can manage it in a digital environment, no need of paper. And just like Sam mentioned, thanks to QDMS for a quality management team, you are ready for audit. It can come to office, your place anytime. You don't need to do anything special because you are using QDMS on daily basis. So you are ready for audit basically at any time, which is a great advantage for any quality management team and any company. We can detail these corrective action processes. Depends on the company and the quality management system in place. And if you like to continue this conversation, if you have any more questions, if you like to schedule one-to-one session with us, we keep our contact information on the screen, and we'll be happy to schedule time with you, learn about your quality management system, your challenges, and how we can help you with QDMS and Acumatica ERP system together. We'll be happy to address that at your convenience. Now we are in Q&A session, and we'll be addressing your questions. I've been receiving some questions from the chat box. So let me see. Sam, so one of the questions is for you. It's two of them. Is there any mobile app for QDMS if quality management teams like to perform their quality management duties? Another question is, QDMS works on cloud or on-premise servers?
Okay, and to the first question, regarding the mobile application, my answer is yes. So QDMS is available for Android and iOS device, so that you can download QDMS mobile on your smartphone or tablet and connect to QDMS anytime and anywhere with the internet connection. And to the second question, QDMS can be deployed on your cloud server or on-premise server. So my answer is both.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sam. Yes, so just like Sam mentioned, QDMS is a web-based, it has a web-based technology, so we can either deploy it on your cloud or on your premise server. And since QDMS is web-based, you can access the system from anywhere via web browsers. Also, some common questions we get is basically for Acumatica and QDMS to run integrated together, do they have to be on the same server? So that's a typical question we always get. So the answer is no. QDMS and Acumatica can be on the same server, but technically they don't have to be on the same server. They don't even have to be on the same database. So we can keep them separate. We can integrate them. However, sometimes we see in different projects, as we have delivered more than 1,000 projects already, sometimes customers have a central database. That's how they like to centralize their database management. So if that is the case, that also works for us. QDMS can also work on a shared centralized database as well. Let me see if there is another question. One of the questions is about Acumatica QDMS integration model. What is your Acumatica QDMS integration model? Can you explain? Yes, of course. So typically, so we have a foundational integration for QDMS and Acumatica. That is simply, as Sam mentioned briefly during the demonstration, we are simply pulling customer, vendor, product, and employee information from Acumatica. The rest of the operations you take care of on QDMS. We have additional integrations as well. We are also pulling invoices. We are also pulling purchase orders from Acumatica. So it depends on where you need the Acumatica integration. We can definitely extend our foundational QDMS and Acumatica integration. As I mentioned earlier, both systems are very modern, and for Acumatica, we basically use a web service APIs for integration. And on Acumatica screens, we can generate any web service API we need for pushing data. So we have that capability, which is very, very flexible. And during the corrective action demonstration, you saw that we can also record, for example, invoice numbers, page numbers, lot numbers, as to corrective actions or customer complaints. Those data can easily be pulled from Acumatica, for example. So we have a lot of options. It depends on the quality management system that you are complying with, and what information that you like to pull and push data between two systems. Sometimes there are more integrations needed, sometimes not. So it all depends. But we are ready to help you, and we are very flexible on that. Another question that I have is, what is the minimum number of modules that we can choose from the QDMS module list that you shared during your presentation? Yes, in my presentation, I shared, I think, about 15 or 20 of our modules on QDMS. We have a little bit more than 30 modules, and sometimes we develop modules for our customers as well. The answer is there is no minimum requirement. You can start with one module, you can start with two modules, you can go phase by phase, whichever works for you. I mean, at the end of the day, our goal is to help you comply with your quality management system digitally. So whichever is your priority, you can start with a couple of them, you can start with 10 of them, you can start with one of them. It's really up to you. So we have no minimum requirement. So you can choose what module or modules you like, and then you can go from there. Alex, I have one question for you. Is it common to practice ISO 9001 but not be certified? Is this a common practice, you will say?
Yes, it's a very good question. Certainly, you can practice and implement ISO without certification, because that will definitely help you in your overall quality management approach. Certification, it's a formal thing that you have to go through an audit, which, costs a moderate fee for that. And it gives you an advantage because then you're obviously formally certified. But if you're not up to going for full certification, you can certainly apply the principles of ISO, and that will definitely help you improve your overall productivity.
Thank you, Alex. I have one more question that I have received. What is the duration of implementation for QDMS? It actually depends on three factors. The first one is which modules of QDMS you choose as one factor. So the more modules you basically choose, the longer it will take naturally. Depends on your readiness, as in your quality management system. Sometimes, let's say you are complying with ISO 9001 and we deploy QDMS at your location or your cloud account, for example. And then we are, let's say, configuring corrective action procedures, or let's say we are configuring customer complaint procedures, for example, in QDMS for you. We need to make sure your quality management system is ready. Sometimes customers that we work with, they are complying with ISO, but they don't have really clear details of, let's say, handling customer complaint, who's going to answer the customer. When you talk to customer, what's going to be the next step, and then who's going to validate the customer complaint if that's a legitimate customer complaint. And if it is, then what's going to be the next step? Who's going to be the team leader, for example? Like these type of details, when we are configuring QDMS, we need to know, basically, so that we can configure the system for you. These type of details, they need to be ready as well. And finally, they need to be also available for training for QDMS. So that depends on these typically. On average, we see certain number of modules are picked by our customers. So it typically takes around 3 months to deploy and configure QDMS on average. Again, it depends on the number of the modules you go for, and depends on readiness of your quality management system, and you're available for training. But for a quality management system in general, we install it pretty quickly. So most of the time we actually need time is the configuration part. That's where we configure QDMS based on your quality management. Looks like I addressed all the questions. Let me see if there is another question on my list in the chat box. Okay, great. I think I addressed all the questions. Well, as I mentioned earlier, quality management systems, there are many of them. And there are different ways to comply, different ways to run your quality management and compliance standards. So we'll be happy to talk about it. Please feel free to reach out to us, send us an email, give us a call, and then we can schedule time and we can talk one-to-one as to what quality management systems you comply, and also which ones, what your challenges are and how we can help. We are looking forward to hearing from you. Also, Alex, thank you so much for sharing insights about quality management fundamentals in the scope of ISO. Much appreciated. It was very, very educational. Sam, thank you so much for the demonstration, and thank you to our attendees. Thank you for joining our webinar session and your great questions. Before I end our webinar session of today, I like to remind you, and I like to invite you to our YouTube channel, and we are recording our webinar session, and we basically make it available. You can see the list of our webinar recordings. You can watch, you can share, and you can invite your colleagues. We are having more and more educational and insightful videos available on our YouTube channel. So we definitely also if you visit our Eventbrite page, you can also see what is coming. We'll be covering more and more subjects about QDMS and how it is integrating the Acumatica ERP system and how you can manage quality management systems digitally. So we have about 2 years worth of content. We'll be keep talking about it every single month and every single week. We have a lot of things to talk about, and we enjoy it. I hope you enjoy it as well. Please join us in our coming webinar sessions. I'd like to thank you for your time, and thank you for your interest, and thank you for great questions. Looking forward to seeing you next week on Monday at 2 o'clock at another AcuQuality webinar series. Thank you and have a nice day.